All right. So to start this week at College Success Coaching, we are going to do a little guided meditation. So get ready. Close your eyes. I can see you don't have your eyes closed. This is not going to start well. Close your eyes. Breathe. And imagine yourself walking out of where you live. Maybe it's a dorm. Maybe it's an apartment. Maybe you live in your car. But get out of it now and walk down the path or sidewalk, and you notice a man walking toward you. And the man has a red hat. No, not that red hat. It says Grubhub on the hat. And he's carrying food that smells so good. But wait, he's looking at you as if he recognizes you. But he doesn't. He recognizes the building. He's excited that he's finally found it. Your campus is very confusing. Oh, it would be great if he was going up to your dorm. Maybe he is. Did you order on Grubhub today? Maybe not. Maybe you did it last night. Maybe your roommate's getting Grubhub. You have to find out. You abandon this exercise and you walk towards the Grubhub person. You follow him like a creepy stalker all the way up the stairs and right towards the room that you think he's going to go to. Then he makes a turn, another turn. He's in the lounge. He's dropping it down. There are many people there. Your floor was having a party. You didn't even realize it. It's time to sit and eat. But wait, you were going to class, but now you have to skip class and you have to call in sick because of the Grubhub guy. It's his fault. It's my fault. It's not your fault. It's everybody's fault. And then open your eyes and realize you haven't eaten yet. And this is College Success Coaching. And I'm Eric Allen. Let's get started. All right, so that wonderful exercise that we didn't really get to do is something that I do want to address. And guided meditation is actually pretty awesome, and it works for a lot of people. It doesn't work for me, but it's great, and it does work a lot of the time. So for all of you who are stressing out and you are freaking out, it's not bad to go. You can even go on YouTube. There's some great guided meditation sites. If you need links to that, let me know. I will shoot those over to you. I'll either put them in the comments section if this is on YouTube, or I can just email them to you if you want me to. Just email me, eric@collegesuccesscoaching.com. Yeah, and even my people who we just had this conversation before we started recording about not spelling collegesuccesscoaching.com, but being in college. I'm not making fun of you. I'm just saying, two C's. Anyway, let's talk about the mug of the week. Speaking of reading and writing, we have the composition mug. It's the composition book mug. Look at this beaut. It even has all the original letterings and numberings from the when those marble notebooks were popular. And I guess they still are. I was talking to somebody yesterday from one of my high school groups, and they said, yeah, these are actually pretty popular still, and they have different colored ones. So I was like, what? There's different colored ones? If you wanted different colored marble notebooks when we were kids, you just had to have a different colored pen, and you colored in all the white spots on it so that it was like a blue or a purple, really, or just solid black. We really weren't that creative. The point is, that's a great idea, and I'm really excited for you all that you have marble notebooks in your life. I'm experimenting with a new type of notebook, and I will let you know how that goes, but it's a mix of notebooks, like real notebooks and pens, and technology. It's going to be really exciting. So I'm going to let you know as we go forward. It'll probably be after the next week. So it'll be in 2 weeks. Look out for it. Let's see how good this coffee is. Oh, ooh, that warms the soul and my heart, and maybe the cockles of my heart, maybe in the subcockle area. I don't know. Not to quote Dennis Leary, but anyway, that's the mug of the week. I'm really excited about that being part of my life. And I have some new cool mugs that we're coming up with as we go forward, and I can't wait to show those all to you. But that does mean it's time for the article of the week. The article of the week this week is listed in the chat. I have that posted for you, and I have that in the description on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. But that does beg that question, right? The question I'm always asking you, what are you doing? You're watching this on YouTube. You could be back here with us behind the curtain, and you could be watching all the stuff that happens after we do just the article of the week. There's many more rants. There's many more funny things that happen. There's great questions. There's not great questions, but they lead to pretty good discussion. There's support. There's a great community behind this. We have a lot of you awesome, high-achieving people in here, and I can't wait to kind of get more of you together to find out what we can all build together. So join up. It's great. You can go to the description. You can click on the link. It'll give you like some information to put in: middle school, high school, college, hopefully college if you're watching this for the college information. And then you can just put in your payment information. It's free for 2 weeks. You're welcome. And then after that, it's only $50 a week, which is, as I always say, it's cheaper than going out Grubhub or an Uber for 2 different times of going out and back. So I can't wait to see you there. I hope that you can catch this one even and watch the rest of it, because we're going to do questions and answers. We're going to go over how to get pumped up for the semester because it's almost over, and some other great things. And, it's really fun. We have a lot of fun back there. But if you don't, you can catch it for next week. So we'll see you there. But for everybody who is watching this right now, let's jump into it. College graduate salaries, expectations versus reality. This comes from thebalance.com. Not a very well-known publication. And honestly, I tend not to jump onto these sites because it's okay. It's accredited. It's not like it's a terrible website. They do have some partners and things like that make them kind of legitimate, I guess. But they're not. It's not. I just don't like doing that usually because of, I like to hit larger publications that are telling us more specific information. But for this, it's kind of ish. So everything that we talk about here, it's ish. All right. So just be aware of that. This is college graduate salaries now that were reported. So the information's not bad. I did check up on some of this, but it doesn't mean that that's going to be the same for you all. And if you are sophomores in college, the reason why I'm bringing this up is I want to manage your expectations. Not only do I want to manage your expectations, but again, you can be at the top of your field and you could be at the high end of the salaries in your field. This is average. We're going to be talking about the average. But that also means you could be looking at something and be like, I'm really good at this. It pays really well. I'd rather do this for money because I love it, but it's a passion project. And maybe we should talk about turning that into a hobby. So it's just to get information out there. One of the most important things at this stage for college for you is to get as much information as possible about after college, because look at next year. Next year, you're embedded in your career. You're already looking at what your internship's going to be for the summer at this point next year, so that you have that in the summer before your senior year, because what you're really trying to do is get a job in your field. So let that sink in for a minute. This is really your last year of just being a college student. Or thinking like a college student, I should say. You're never just a college student. You people are all beautiful. All right, so anyway, let's get into this. If you're a soon-to-be or recent college graduate, you've probably wondered how much your degree is worth. Have you wondered that? Most college students place a high priority on salary as they anticipate employment after graduation, especially with all the student loans. According to a Lend EDU survey in 2017, of over 3,000 students, more than 70% of the respondents indicated that salary was the most important consideration for postgraduate employment. Yeah, that's really interesting because this directly contradicts another study from another article I was reading about millennials and what they're looking for out of jobs. Salary was not the top thing on that list. So what's interesting is that if you're in college right now, you are technically a millennial. Millennials were born all the way up to, I believe it's 2002. So if you're 16 right now, technically you're still a millennial. You're at the tail end of it and you're not a Gen Zer yet, but you're kind of that transitional period. So you guys are deep into the millennial thing. So when people talk about millennials, they are talking about you. Just technically, that doesn't mean that you're the same as people who are in their 30s, obviously, but it just talks about a generation of people who have certain expectations. So it's really interesting that Lend EDU had a survey which had a decent N. And again, we always talk about being critical of these studies. This had 3,000 students. So we need to really kind of break that down then. And we would have to ask questions like, well, where did you pull this from? Where was it from? One school, 2 schools, was it just Ivy Leagues? Was it just New England colleges, California colleges? So, we would have to really kind of look at that. And so we know that we're comparing apples to apples, not apples to oranges. But it's an interesting statement nonetheless that more than 70% of the respondents indicated that salary was the most important consideration for postgraduate employment. It's been my experience that you guys care about that. Kind of matters, right? However, the realities of compensation for graduates often do not live up to their expectations. Not if you're with us, baby, because we're talking about the reality. The survey reports 38% of respondents expected starting salaries of over $60,000 a year, with 17% of those expecting to earn over $80,000 a year. 36% of students expected to make between $40,000 and $60,000, while the remaining 26% expected to earn under $40,000 in their first job. So my question would, hopefully the obvious question to you is, out of 3,000 people, almost a third of them expected to make less than $40,000 a year. Are they don't have student loans? Or they just have really low expectations of what they're going to get out of their college degree? That's really kind of depressing. $40,000 is below the median income for people in America right now. That's not good. That's like less, that's $5,000 a year less than the average salary of somebody who just graduates from high school. So it's very interesting. I think that's the most telling expectation of depressed expectations for people who graduate college. Hopefully you all are thinking maybe like the $60,000 to $80,000 a year range, because like, honestly, you're worth it. If you're the best at what you do and you're doing great things and you're working really hard, why would you not have high expectations for salary? Your compensation should match your contribution to a company, to a business, starting your own business, whatever it is. I just would hope that if your expectations are high for yourself, guys, come on, but not realistic, but just high, knowing what the average is. So that's again, I want to manage your expectations, not lower them. Lowered Expectations was a really funny skit from a show called Mad TV, which you can go check out online on YouTube or something else like that. I highly, highly recommend that you go look at that when you need a laugh. It's really funny. It's just it's like a stupid fake dating site called Lowered Expectations, but it's pretty funny. But yeah, so please, understand what the average salary is for what you want to do, but then, put yourself up a little bit, but recognize, and the reason why I say this, recognize that it will take doing better than the average bear so that you can get the higher end salaries in your field. So let's talk about the fields. Are those salaries a realistic expectation? A Korn Ferry study reports that the average salary for a college graduate is flat for 2018 after an all-time high in 2017. However, that high might not be what you expected when you started looking at your first job after college. If you were one of the students who responded with the highest expectations, it's going to be a stretch to reach your salary goal. Not impossible. You guys are all about the stretch, right? Like we're not looking for mediocrity. Grade isn't good enough. Korn Ferry's Hay Group division researchers analyzed salary data from 310,000 entry-level positions from over 1,000 organizations. So that sounds like a lot. 1,000 organizations is not a lot, especially when you look at all the different fields. So I just want to be clear about that. It sounds like a lot. 310,000 positions is a lot, but from only 1,000 organizations, this seems to be a little cherry-picked, but just throwing that out there, okay? Not sure how that skews the data, but it seems a little cherry-picked. The data for 25 different jobs indicated that 2018 college grads would earn an average salary of $50,390 a year, up 2.8% from the $49,000 in 2017. When compared with the expectations in the data from Lend.edu, it appears that about half of graduates would receive salaries less than what they had anticipated. That's a really weird statement to make, just because the people that they looked at, they didn't break those kids down into, the college students were not saying we all have the same areas or fields of study and this is what our expectations are. So like there might be somebody who's in investment banking and they're really pushing to get a job at JP Morgan. And they're saying my expectation is to make over $90,000 a year coming out of my honors program. And they are right to expect that. But then but that's not everybody, right? So there might be somebody else who's coming out of a sociology program saying, my expectation is around $40,000 a year, which might be realistic for them. So I don't know that this is saying what it thinks it's saying. I just think that they're putting two studies next to each other, and you'll see this a lot. Here's this population of people who think this thing. Here's the reality of these types of things. Therefore, these people don't know anything about what they're expecting. Like, you don't know that. We would have to break down apples to apples again, like looking at, do the people who have a software development major expect to have over $60,000 a year salary? Do people who are an engineering major expect to have less than $40,000 a year salary? So, I want to to be really clear about that. It's not that this does not necessarily jive. And you got to be careful when you're reading these conglomerate articles that try to put several studies together. This is what we call pseudoscience. So, but again, there's value to it. And there's obviously, I explain why I want to go over this, because I do want you to do some digging and research into your salary expectations for your particular field. So let's kind of glean what we can from this. We'll take away from the top. We'll look just now at what they're talking about. So based on the jobs analyzed by Korn Ferry, the top salaries on the list pay in the mid 60s. That's software developer, scientist or researcher, and engineer, which are all above $60,000 a year. The lowest salaries are in the mid 30s, customer service representative and claims examiner. So, you might be at the bottom of the totem pole at a company because you want to be a customer service rep, but your degree is going to get you to move up that ladder. So this might be an acceptable salary for you in the beginning. It's a means to an end. So that's not necessarily bad. Claims examiner being almost $40,000 a year, that is interesting. And you should look at that. It's also based on locations. So this is also very important. They highlighted geographic differences in pay in major cities with average salaries ranging from $49,584 in Atlanta to $50,743 on the low end, $60,972 in New York, and $63,995 in San Francisco on the high end. So if you're in Atlanta, you might be looking at getting between $49,000 and $50,000 a year on the low end. And that's kind of how that city works. A little depressed compared to, say, San Francisco, which will bring you up about, $10,000 to $13,000 more a year. But remember, the cost of living in San Francisco versus Atlanta, I bet it's bigger of a difference. The majors that pay the most. As you might expect, college major is the biggest differential when it comes to salaries for your first job after college. Again, remember, first job after college. You're going to move up, hopefully, right? You're going to rise to the top. You're going to be exceptional, and you're going to do great things. You're going to integrate. You're going to be a Renaissance person. You're going to make sure that you put together two different types of skill sets that nobody really gets to do, and that puts you in a unique position to make more money and have more opportunities available to you, because that's what we're doing, right? But again, just for an entry level, the National Association of Colleges and Employers, the NACE, surveyed 196 employers on the starting salaries that they expect to offer graduates in various majors. That's a very low end. Employers plan to pay the highest salaries to education and computer science graduates. So engineers were making $66,500, computer science $66,000, math and science $61,867. Employers reported the lowest expected salaries for the following majors: social science $56,600, communications $51,448, humanities $56,700, and agriculture and natural resources $53,500. So just look at how those stack up. That's what employers are expecting to offer. It doesn't mean that that's what you're going to get, and it doesn't mean that if you're a high-credentialed, highly recommended person who had a great internship junior year, summer, that you will be offered this. You might be offered more. However, some of the lower paid majors saw a jump in salary from 2017 to 2018, including humanities at 16.3% and social sciences at 6%. So PayScale's 2017 and 2018 salary report notes that major can have an even bigger impact on future earnings than choice of school. Duh, right? I don't care where you went to school. If you're just getting a general liberal arts degree, or you're trying to get in for women's studies or social sociology, you're not necessarily going to be jumping into a high-paying job. And it's not really true the other way. I just want to throw that out there. Getting an engineering degree doesn't automatically mean you're in line for a high-paying job. It's actually very competitive for great companies to be looking at, well, where did you go? And I know personally, and I've worked with as a colleague, somebody who hires for a very high-end engineering firm in Atlanta. And he said, there's only a few schools that we really consider. And then we look at your GPA, and if it's a 3.8, you're in. If it's a 3.7, we consider it. If it's lower than that, we don't really consider it. So they have a culture and a climate where they're looking for feeder schools for them. So again, keep that in mind, that it does rub the one way on the lower end, where you could get less based on where you go to school. But really, it's what major you have, but it doesn't really rub the other way as much. So major can have an even bigger impact, and they say These are the majors with the highest earning potential: petroleum engineering, actuarial mathematics, actuarial science, nuclear engineering, chemical engineering, marine engineering, economics and math, geophysics. Notice a trend? Yeah. I did my article review for the STEM programs and for my high schoolers how to really look good for good STEM programs. And that's because it came from the demand from students and parents to talk about STEM programs because they're just the most lucrative programs out there in terms of entry-level salary. Think Advisor reports that the worst paying majors in 2017 for college grads include early childhood education, child and family studies, child development, pastoral ministry, youth ministry. So essentially, if you work with kids or religious organizations, don't expect to make a lot. That's been true forever. That was true when I was going to college. It's just always been true. The majors with the highest unemployment rate for 2018. This is very important. It's great if you have a good paying job in your field, but if there's no jobs available, you got to work really hard to get one of those jobs. What also means that it's really competitive to get a job in these fields. So keep your ears up. This matters. The highest unemployment rate for 2018 was for majors including mass media, fine arts, English, liberal arts, and philosophy. So if you're into media, if you're into this kind of thing, like we're on the YouTube, if you're into writing, if you're into English, if you're into philosophy, things where you have to write and think, there are decent paying jobs and think tanks and great publications like New York Times and, like the Washington Post and things like that. But there's a lot of unemployment for people because there aren't a lot of jobs that are really out there and easily available. That doesn't mean you won't get them. You will, because you guys are exceptional. But be aware that this is a highly competitive field and people tend to stay in those jobs and hold on to them for dear life. If you're in a high demand career field, it will be easiest to earn what you're hoping for in your first salary. If not, there will be opportunities to increase your earning potential over time. Duh? What a non-statement. Having a college degree automatically ups your chances of earning more. I'm not going to go through this because that's just duh. Employers expect to hire slightly more new college graduates than they did last year. I don't know why, but 1.3% less. And NACE also reports that employers are expected to hire more interns this year, which will provide opportunities for graduates seeking post-grad internships as well as for college students. You want to jump on that internship train. But I could tell you, I just had a conversation with a very high-end executive from a Fortune 500 company today, and what he said was, there's too many applications for internships right now for me personally. So he's in a position where he can help people out, but it's getting tighter in general out there. So it's getting more competitive and it's getting harder to get people internships, which is why, again, this week and next week, I will be pushing, get your resume worked out. If we need to do a resume workshop, let me know. Put it in right now, like throw that into the Q&A or put it into the comments section on YouTube, please. I want to know, because if we have to do that, let's just do it. If you need to send that to me, Eric Allen, collegesuccesscoaching.com, or Eric at collegesuccesscoaching.com. If you're a rando and I don't know you, but you send me a resume and say, can you help me? I'll try. I'll do what I can. But if you're one of my people, I will absolutely help you with this, okay? We'll set up a one-to-one. It'll take half an hour. Shoot it to me. We're going to get it worked out. So anyway, it's very important that you are ready. Get your headshot, get your recommendations. You need 3 recommendations, professional ones, not your mom. Just get that done, because you need to be applying to these internships between now and January. They're going to get eaten up fast, faster than ever this year. I've never seen it like this before. So anyway, let's get back. Perception versus reality. Salaries in all categories for the class of 2018 are expected to increase slightly over the pay garnered by the class of 2017, which will help to narrow the gap between expectations and reality. The Korn Ferry study estimates a 2.8% increase over 2017, which was a 3% increase over the class of 2016 and a 14% increase over the starting salaries of the class of 2007. Salary projections are up, but student expectations are also high and way higher. So get salary information. This is something the article says. I 100% agree with that. Get this information. Consider your compensation package. This goes into, and I have this, so I'm starting a group for people who are graduates. So this is for people who are post the whole college thing up until they're like probably around 30-ish, but I mean, we can talk if you're not. But what we'll be talking about is how do you negotiate a better salary, a better compensation package. and things that will be quality of life benefits and perks. So we'll talk about that, but the article does go into that more. But hopefully you understand the point of this article was to manage your expectations, see what is out there, how competitive the jobs are in your field, and what the average salary is for these jobs, so that when you say to yourself, well, I'm going to be exceptional, understand what that means in terms of salary and being able to work in the field versus people who can't. I know you guys will. You guys are awesome. But just be aware that this is really not the easiest thing in the world. And that, my friends, is the article of the week. So hopefully you all got that information and it was useful to you. If you are looking to get more information about this and talk a little bit more about how to make the end of this semester useful and to get the most out of this resume thing and get ready for the internships and the summer jobs after this summer coming, you're going to have to become a subscriber. Go down there and click on that link in the YouTube and find out how you can become either a middle school, high school, or college member. That you have to check that off. I've had people not do it. You have to check off which one you are. Please don't pick middle school if you're in college. That's weird. But pick your level of education, and then you can just sign up with some basic information, payment information. You get that 2 weeks for free. After that, it's only $50 a week. Obviously, it's worth it. You're here, so you're watching this, so you know that what we're talking about is valuable, and I know you're burning to have your questions answered, and that burning desire will be easily fulfilled when you join us for next week's live stream, which is coming up for our college sophomores at 7:30 every Tuesday. We do more than that. We do interviews. We do pre-recordings for these evergreen topics. We just do a lot of great assessments and informational pieces, tools and things for you to just jump on and use whenever you want online. And I also have connections to some great providers that will just be, again, quality of life boosters for you as you go through your college career. So what are you waiting for? Jump on. I can't wait to see you next week. I love to see your questions popping up for me. Nobody else will get to see them, but I will, and I'll know that was you. Very nice. Nicely done. Can't wait. See you next time.